All right, so let's dive right into this. We're looking at the British Virgin Islands, and, well, get this. They're spending a hefty chunk of change, like 220,000 US dollars, to bring in Vibes Cartel for a concert.
Wow.
Yeah, 220,000. I mean, it's a big name, sure, but is this really the best use of, taxpayer money? Is this going to boost the BVI economy like they're hoping, or is this a bit of a gamble?
Well, it's definitely an interesting case study.
That's why we're doing a deep dive on it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So to understand this move, we really need to consider the BVI's economic landscape. It's heavily reliant on tourism and financial services.
Two sectors that, always need a bit of a boost.
Exactly. And that means the government's always looking for ways to bring in more revenue. After all, that's how they fund, well, everything. Infrastructure, education, healthcare, you name it.
Makes sense. So in this case, they're looking at this Vibes Cartel concert as, well, more than just a concert.
Right.
The Premier's argument seems to be that this is about attracting tourists, putting the BVI on the map, getting people to fill those restaurants, those shops, and ultimately generate more in tax revenue than the initial investment for the concert itself. He even pointed to Canada's Caravana Festival. Have you heard of that?
Absolutely. It's huge.
Yeah, and it started small, but it brings in like over 400 million Canadian dollars every year.
Yeah.
So could the BVI be on to something similar here with this concert? I mean, it's a bold comparison.
It is a bold comparison. I mean,
Huh.
there's no denying the success of Caravana, but, it didn't become a global phenomenon overnight.
Right.
It took decades of, really strategic planning, consistent investment, building the right infrastructure, having a really strong marketing strategy. It's more than just, booking one big name and hoping for the best.
Right, and hoping it just, explodes.
Yeah,
I mean, we have to address the other side of this.
of course.
Some BVI residents, they're not exactly thrilled about this concert. They'd rather see that $220,000 go towards more, let's say, immediate needs, education, healthcare. I mean, it's understandable, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a classic dilemma for governments everywhere. Do you put the money towards addressing immediate pressing needs, or do you invest in something that has the potential to generate much larger returns down the line?
Right, so that classic short-term versus long-term thinking.
Exactly. And in this case, it seems like the BVI government is taking the long-term approach.
They're taking a gamble.
They are. They're hoping this concert and potentially, other events like it will boost the economy and as a result provide them with, significantly more resources to then fund those essential services down the line.
So it's like a ripple effect they're banking on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they're trying a new strategy here, too, right? I mean, instead of relying on the sort of traditional approaches, they're going direct collaboration with promoters.
New approach for them.
Could this be the key?
It could be. It's too early to say for sure, but the Premier seems confident that this direct approach will cut through some of the bureaucracy, lead to greater efficiency, and hopefully, result in higher returns.
So there's a lot riding on this concert. It's not just about the music, is it?
Not at all.
It's about the BVI's economic future, it's about tourism, it's about priorities, and it's about whether this gamble, this $220,000 gamble, is going to pay off.
Exactly. And that leads us to the real question for our listeners to think about. What would it actually take for an event like this to be truly successful? And I don't just mean a one-off success, but a long-term driver of economic growth.
Because anyone can, throw a big party and attract a crowd for a weekend, but how do you turn that into something sustainable, something that benefits everyone?
Right. Is it enough to just focus on short-term revenue, or does real, lasting economic growth require a more holistic approach?
Oh.
Something for everyone to consider as they continue their own deep dives on this topic.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.